A&D. I'm Christy Fennessy, and this is my home. You're just in time for dinner. Why don't you come in and see what my husband Steve is making in the kitchen? Come on in. Oh, no, it's okay. Don't be scared. Everything's all right. Just come on in. Hi, honey.
Hey.
What you making?
Well, I was trying to make turkey burgers, but I don't have enough room. I'm supposed to use the food processor? I got nowhere to plug it in.
Honey.
What? Oh. Wait, who's this?
Annie.
Annie? Tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Annie, welcome to our kitchen. 3 turkey burgers coming right up. Ow! We did not buy a house for years. We rented for a long time, for like 8 years before we actually started looking for a house.
Right. Grown-ups.
I know, I was almost 40.
Right.
It seemed the time.
The right time. So we found this house.
Which we liked a lot.
Yeah, we pretty much fell in love with it except for one thing.
The kitchen. I mean, I figured I could live with it because I'm the one who cooks mostly, let's be honest.
I don't cook at all.
No.
Let's be totally honest.
Yeah, you really
I'm not
don't.
good at it, and I don't like it. But
Well, it's not that you're not good at it, you just don't do it.
well, anyway.
You choose not to. She chooses not to.
Because you're so good at it, and I do love to eat.
That's such a cop-out.
I love food, and I'm really lucky to have married somebody who likes to cook.
House. No, main room is the kitchen. The kitchen is the focal point, is the family room, really. And our family room is just too small, it's not functional, it doesn't encourage family.
It has a lot of sort of weird, terrible features. For example, the countertops are made of this weird black tile that has grooves in between it. So tons of food and crumbs and junk gets stuck in there.
And it's not even as smooth, the tile itself isn't even smooth, so it's not like you can just wipe the tile clean. It's actually kind of coarse texture, so the food not only gets in the grooves, but it gets into the tile itself. It's foul.
Right, the drawers don't really work. They sort of are off their runners all the time, and it's really difficult to get them back on. So
I don't know
sort of
who installed the
half-hanging.
runners, but they did a terrible job. I actually put new runners on 2 of the drawers.
That's good. Putting the new runners on was a pretty monumental day for this kitchen, actually.
I spent a good part of the afternoon installing new runners, and I used a drill. And we had smelled some sort of weird smell, but I thought it was just from the drill, right?
Yeah, like
Pre-show
sawdust.
on. Anyway, and it was almost time to put Casey to bed, and he was only about 3 or 4 months at the time. This was late May of 2010. And went into the kitchen to get a bottle ready, and I hear this sound. It's like this crackling sound. And I'm smelling the same smell that I've been smelling all day, but it was a little more intense. So I look up, and the ceiling is crackling and bubbling and brown. And I just run back into the den where Christy was, and I say, call 911, and she, of course... But anyway, the fire department came within about 8 minutes, I think they got here. And they came in, they poked a hole in the ceiling, and the rafters were actually on fire. They were burned right through, they said, and the whole roof would have been on fire. So, I mean, we were lucky, that's what people say. But a good chunk of the kitchen, the ceiling anyway, was burned, and of course, all the water damage and the soot damage. So we had to basically move out.
We moved into a hotel, and keeping in mind that we had a 3 or 4 month old baby with us, who was a really good sport, but eventually started crying through the night, and that just doesn't work in a hotel. So I took him and left town and went to my mother's house in Boston. This is important to note because it was from there that I made some decisions about what to do with the repairs of the kitchen. It was up to me to decide what color we should paint the walls in the kitchen, and I was in such a rush. I was out of town. My mother and I looked online at colors and basically just picked one sort of out of a hat.
You shouldn't decide a color palette by looking at the monitor of a Mac.
No.
For the record.
I mean, from different angles it looks different, and so we ended up with this very bright teal.
Looks kind of
Pretty
slapdash.
Yeah.
The whole thing is, I mean, so what was a bad situation now is essentially a worse situation. Hard to cook in, it's hard to see. There's a strange sort of a semicircular island, and that's where I do most of the preparations, but that's where most of the counter space is. So that's where we have our toaster oven, our coffee maker. It's where we use the food processor. Our microwave is on another part of a countertop, and so there just isn't any room to do anything. It's just
The refrigerator hums really loudly. We can't quite figure out what that's all about.
I think it's just on its last legs.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, in a lot of ways, it feels like the kitchen is just sort of rebelling against us over and over again. And really, the thing here is that not only do I get to enjoy a lot of great food from Steve's cooking, but he gets a lot of enjoyment out of it. It's a great stress reliever, and it's sort of his beloved hobby, and he can't really enjoy it in that space. And so I think he really deserves a new kitchen.
I go to open houses on Sundays sometimes when they have them like between 2 and 4 or whatever, just to look at people's kitchens, so I can sort of covet them. Even though I know we're not in the market for a new house, can't really afford a new house, and I'm happy with this house except for the kitchen, which is just an abomination.
Tonight, cornbread.
So would you please fix our kitchen? Okay, do this. Okay.